Hello and welcome everyone. This is the notes presentation for Unit 2, Lesson 3, The Rise of Civilizations. In this particular part of the notes, we are going to be looking at ancient Mesopotamia and the Fertile Crescent. The reason why this particular theme matters in world cultures is because this is the first full-fledged civilizations in our history. To understand more about us today, we're going to take it back and way back into ancient times to learn more about who we were. So please, before I begin, let me encourage you to open up your Google Doc on the lesson on Google Classroom and to fill in any content for the guided notes section and or also answer any key concept questions that appear in the Google Doc. Let's go ahead and get started. So where is Mesopotamia? Well, simply put, Mesopotamia when translated means land between two rivers. As you can see here by the map, Mesopotamia is located between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. The Fertile Crescent, as it was called, was the land around these two rivers, and it was known to have some of the best fertile farmland and silt in the ancient world. Although regular flooding happened in this area, the flooding that provided the fertile silt was often unpredictable. You see, the Tigris and Euphrates were allegedly known to be very, very rough and sometimes unforgiving, and these floods, of course, could hurt civilization. However, it should also be noted that in the ancient world, as depicted here, many successful civilizations would come from nearby rivers. Rivers provided farming advantages. Farmers built dams and channels to control seasonal floods, and additionally, the use of irrigation systems to bring water to their fields was tremendously helpful. You might be wondering, where is Mesopotamia today? Mesopotamia today is located in modern-day Iraq and Syria, and these places, although they're known for being relatively dry, were able to survive because of the irrigation systems within them. Now, these systems allowed farmers to grow enough food like barley, wheat, and vegetables to support a large, sustainable population. In fact, that's one of the key signs of a successful civilization, if they can grow food and have a surplus and provide for all the people. Sumer. Sumer is the first major civilization in Mesopotamia at about around 4500 BC, and Sumer is organized into independent city-states later on. You might have heard of some of these places as they're known synonymously in ancient world history. The people of Sumer were unique and eclectic for many reasons. It wouldn't take long for the first civilization to establish a system of hierarchy. In your notes, please get ready to write down the complex system of hierarchy right here. At the top of the social hierarchical pyramid in Mesopotamia, you would find the rulers and the priests, followed then, of course, by the merchants, the artisans, and the scribes. Later on, the peasant farmers, and of course down here at the very bottom, the captured slaves. Yes, it is true that in ancient times we had the first featured institution of slavery. Although different from what we know it to be as today from this perspective, we can understand more about how people lived in civilizations by looking at this social structure. Social structures in civilizations can be good and bad in the sense that they provide continuity and structure and organization, but they also can be, depending on where we're talking about, rather repressive. There are many cultural achievements, however, in Mesopotamia. The Mesopotamians made fine jewelry and sculptures, and additionally, they made great music using flutes and strings for the time. Also, the Epic of Gilgamesh was written in Mesopotamia, which is a long poem about a king who travels the world, performs great deeds, and searches for a way to live forever. These types of cultural achievements are definitely huge successful signs of a successful civilization. No other village before that we talked about, at least in the course of world history, was able to come up with these types of cultural advancements. Let's take a few moments of your time to talk about religion in the first civilization. So, the people of Mesopotamia were believed to be polytheistic, which means that they might have believed in many gods. Additionally, they were a theocracy, which is where religious leaders also led the government. So if you remember from civics and government class, we talked about theocracies, where you have people in charge who not only interpret religion for the people, but they also run government too. This iconic building is what symbolizes to be a ziggurat. Now, ziggurats are large pyramid-like temples at the city's center, and many people would boast them as cultural epicenters too. Sumerian temples were known to be elaborate and really refined in their artistic designs and the many types of sculptures that were in there. Cuneiform. Cuneiform is a pictographic writing system, and additionally, this type of writing system relied on wedge shapes to be inscripted upon clay tablets, and it used symbols for pictures and also for sounds and ideas. Cuneiform is one of those types of alphabets which basically is attributing to the rise of written language And of course, you can imagine that this is a game changer for world civilization. As mankind learns to write, ideas, events are recorded, which are forever etched in our memory. Technology. In Mesopotamia, it is believed that these people used basic math and geometry based on the 60 phenomenon, 60 minutes in 1 hour, the 360 degrees in a circle, and because of mathematical developments, so too would architectural designs become more refined and reliable. In fact, Mesopotamians were even the first to use wheeled carts for transportation. As you can see here, the Mesopotamians had the idea down in terms of how to move things much easier using the invention of the wheel. But it wasn't all good. Invaders, of course, caused harm on each other in the ancient world. In fact, Sumerians overtook the area known as the Fertile Crescent by the Akkadians around 2270 BC. Now, when the Sumerians were overtaken by the Akkadians, this, of course, caused great stress and duress by the people. Around 1900, however, the Assyrians rose to power, and they began to take over what they thought was theirs in their Fertile Crescent. This, of course, was later triumphed by the Babylonians, who took control of Mesopotamia. You might be wondering, why should we have to know about all these different types of ancient peoples who came and went and are now gone? We don't even hear about these people anymore. Please keep in mind that the story of us can be marked by battles and warfare and land domination and supremacy. This is something we're going to focus on later on, too, as we talk about other places in the world. Hammurabi. Hammurabi is known to be the most fierce Babylonian king from 1792 BC to 1750 BC, who controlled all of Mesopotamia. However, he's also known for something else. He was known for Hammurabi's Code, which is the first written code of laws that ever existed in the world, at least as far as we know. Hammurabi's Code is known for being rather strict. In fact, the concept of an eye for an eye comes from Hammurabi's Code. Later on in today's lesson, you're going to be doing an activity where you're going to look at real cases that existed in the ancient world and trying to guess or surmise what actually happened as a result due to Hammurabi's Code as far as the consequence and a verdict. Now, later empires in Mesopotamia would come to rule. The Assyrian Empire rose again, and before the Neo-Babylonian or Chaldean Empire came to power, different types of people added their own cultural mix to Mesopotamia. King Nebuchadnezzar has the Great Hanging Gardens of Babylon built in Mesopotamia, which is one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world. Now, allegedly, this was built by the king to please his wife, whom she definitely missed her homelands of lush green landscapes from where she was from, and although the Hanging Gardens are no longer standing today, it is believed that the Mesopotamian system of irrigation was used to keep the foliage and the flowers watered and taken care of. As you can see here, this is a depicted drawing of what the Hanging Gardens might have looked like. It's clear to see that for the times we're mentioning, why this might have been one of the ancient wonders of the world. In the end, the Persians would come to rule all of Mesopotamia. Founded in the 6th century BC by Cyrus the Great, known for being one of the world's first full-fledged conquerors, Mesopotamia would be ruled by the Persians, and they would create the biggest empire the world has ever seen. The Persians would not only rule for a long time, but their influence and culture would forever shape this region of the world for many years to come. As you can see here, this map portrays the different locations throughout the Persian Empire. Although this looks huge and big, keep in mind that we can't ignore the contributions and cultural achievements by early civilizations in understanding more about the story of us. Please at this time go ahead and continue with the rest of the lesson, and remember, if you need to, you can replay any part of this presentation that you might need for clarity. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in.